Thanks for joining us today on Bite Size Dental Marketing. Today I have the South African Prince, Ian.
The South African Prince. Eric, if the Prince of South Africa asks you to send,
you better send money.
You send the money.
Send the money.
It can't be fake. It can't be fake.
No,
it's real.
No. That accent, yeah, you got to send the money. So let's jump in. We've talked a lot about SEO and the importance of establishing.
Because at the end of the day, all that Google wants to do is to connect a query to an answer. And it wants to give
the most viable answer. Yeah,
exactly. And where topical authority comes into play here is, let's say you're a dentist that wants to focus on a specific treatment. Let's say dental implants, because we know that's one.
Okay.
It's high in production. It's one that a lot of dentists like to do, and especially your specialists like to do. You can't convince Google that you're a specialist in dental implants and you understand it if your website has half a paragraph saying, "Do you have missing teeth? You could use dental implants." That's not showing topical authority. That's showing that you offer a service. But now, if you start to build out and you start to create content answering every type of question, you start to show that you're getting awards for this type of treatment, that you have testimonial videos about patients sharing their experience getting dental implants, replacing their teeth. Is all on 4 better than all on 6? In what case should I get an implant supported bridge? And answering all of these questions and showing Google that I'm not just another dentist. I am the end all be all when it comes to answering this, essentially a Wikipedia in my area on this type of service. It's safe to say that you then have topical authority on that type of dental treatment.
You're using the word topical authority, and obviously I understand it because we're in marketing, but to me, topical authority is really a broad term that encompasses a lot of things that we've talked about on the channel. Is, having the demonstration of excellence in the patient testimonials, I think, establish topical authority. I think making sure that you build out your long tail keyword questions builds out topical authority. I think making sure that you talk about the technology and your approach to dental implants. Topical authority, I want to make sure I'm correct, is really an all-encompassing topic of making sure that from awards to case studies to technology to your approach to, how you welcome patients in to consultations, all kind of leads into establishing you as a domain expert, or in your area, you want to be established as the expert in the field. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now,
Yes, go ahead, Eric. Sorry.
No. Now, I know we have an endodontist in Rochester. If you go, obviously he has case studies. He has doctors that have, Dr. Gray. He's amazing, by the way. We should add him to the Handsome Devil Association. But I like Dr. Gray's site because not only does it talk about, endodontics and root canal, he has patient testimonials of patients that came in and talked about before, talked about after. He has doctors that have referred patients that talked about the experience. And then, of course, he talks about his own technology and approach. And I think he's done really well bringing all of those factors together in SEO. And I think if you just Google anything to do with tooth pain or endodontics or root canals, at the top of a list there.
Top. And that's just because of the focus with Rochester Endodontics was this endodontist rather is a specialist in this specific branch of dentistry. And how, from a marketing perspective, and how will we convince Google that if anybody in the area or surrounding areas is looking for an endodontist or something with tooth pain, or even explaining to Google that if a user doesn't even know they need to see an endodontist. So that's just one of the other ways to build.
Another one that I know that the SEO team has done really well on is Brandon Grantham down in Copper's Cove. Several years ago, he started doing sleep apnea. Mm-hmm. And I mean, he was nowhere to be found. And I think today, if you're anywhere around his area and you Google sleep apnea or not sleeping well or snoring, I think that his webpage is very prominent.
Mm-hmm. It's just WebMD that's above him. I'm struggling to knock down WebMD from that number one spot, but
it's hard at the national level. You know?
That's the thing. The thing for a local dentist to sit second behind WebMD, which is, if we're talking about topical authority, I would say WebMD is pretty high up there. But I've got them in my sights. We need to get him up.
Now, it's been a long road, right? But I know that we've done some case studies. I know that we've written a ton of content. I know we've been down there a couple of times and shot doctor interviews of him talking about his approach. Can you summarize what we've done for Dr. Grantham?
Mm-hmm. So the first thing that we implemented in terms of strategy is making sure that the service page on the website discussing sleep apnea was just a wealth of information. Everything from how obstructive sleep apnea is, why the CPAP machines are maybe not as good as an option for certain people, why his approach is better, what the different type, what's causing it, why it's happening, what's the first step. So literally, the point I'm trying to make, every type of question you think that could be answered on this, we put on there, and that's important to the patient. We always keep the patient in mind. I'm not writing for Google. If I was someone suffering from sleep apnea, based on what I've seen people are looking for, what would answer my questions? And that's our first approach, because I know then that I'm writing to the people and not just for bots to be crawled on Google. Then adding in those videos, the testimonials, the social proof, showing that the doctor knows what he's talking about, that he is an expert on this topic. Then moving out to adding it to the Google My Business, creating frequently asked questions on the topic, making sure that if there's any type of awards that could relate to it, that's added, again, ties into the social proof. It's added to essentially any type of listing, any type of area where we can signal to Google that this is an important service. We started there. That's essentially. Then it's just about being consistent.
Now, you talk a lot about the various forms of content, getting awards that you've had on both your page and Google My Business, getting new content out there, getting video content. I mean, I know that seems like a heavy lift for most dentists, but we've talked about consistency being so important. Mm-hmm. Whenever you say it's a content game and produce content, it really does feel like a lot of work to keep your Google My Business updated, keep your website updated, shoot patient testimonials, shoot doctor videos. But
if only there was a solution.
If only there was a scrappy marketing team out there,
some kind of team you could get to help people with this.
But it is pretty interesting to think about the journey over the last 7 or 8 years in the dental marketing space, in that we used to talk to so many dentists who said, I've never done marketing. I mean, I think my first 10 sales calls in the company were with dentists who had never done marketing.
Oh, wow.
And now we never hear that. And, and I think that people have really found that to do the specialty treatments, there has to be, I think you have to demonstrate excellence. I think that if you're looking for a dentist, I think if it's just a normal person, is just looking for a dentist, I think they look for dentists near me. And then I think they get into reading the reviews, and they get into watching the videos, and they get into seeing the images on Google, and they get into visiting the website and, calling. But I think if I'm looking for prepless veneers, or I'm looking for cosmetics, or I'm looking for implants or sleep apnea devices, I think that I'm looking for that authority figure. And then I want to make the connection with the About Us page and their approach. But I'm definitely looking to come in as a specialty service. I'm definitely looking for someone to.
Topical authority goes further than just SEO and convincing Google. That's where those videos that you were talking about, that's where that comes in. That's where the badges comes in. The topical authority you show gains trust. That's where the reviews comes in. So on the one side, you build topical authority on your content, on your SEO strategy, and writing all that content, long tail. But it stretches beyond SEO in the sense that you show authority when you have those testimonials in place, when you have the awards in place, when you have the doctor talking about it. And that's where putting in a concerted effort to not just be a dentist, but be the best dentist that you can be online and be marketed as a specialist for the services you want. That's where you start to distinguish and start to see the difference that marketing can make in building your authority.
I read a good quote the other day that talked about content, or at least I applied it to content generation. It said, if you want to be in the top 10%, you've got to do the things that 90% of the people won't do.
Exactly.
And people hate content. They hate writing it. They hate talking about it. The research around it. And I think if you're a dentist, I think you should focus on being a good dentist. I think being a good dentist and a good marketer is too high a bar. But yeah, I think that if you want to really do well in specialty services in 2023, I think you have to generate content that shows you're the domain expert and you're the authority person on it. Ian, man, it's always a pleasure. If you need money, just ask. And that's your digital marketing.
If you get an email from a South African prince asking for money, you pay that money. That's
pay that money. All right.
Thanks, Eric. It was lovely being here. Thank you.